Oh, Sith, it's Nick's Tower of Truth.
What's up, everybody? Give me one second. Welcome to the inaugural episode of Nick's Tower of Truth. Yay! Insert clapping sound here. I'll just do it myself. Right now, there's no Cecily and no Eve with me. Eve is somewhere around the house. Eve! Yeah? There you go. There's Eve. So, Eve is somewhere around the house. And there was no Sith Show this past weekend, so I'm here to basically give you the bonus show. And there's my son in the background, and Cecily right now is currently at work, so there is no co-host right now. He's watching the baby, so you get Nick's Tower of Truth, all me for the next hour. Breathe it in. I know, it's amazing. See, and I don't get smacked for cocky comments like that, so it's awesome, right? So there's a couple topics that I do want to discuss, a couple things that has been on my mind. If you need a refresher course, you can go to my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/DEDarkDeathwing. That's DEDARKDEATHWING, all one word. That's DEDarkDeathwing. So there I was talking about the state of the black community and everything that was going on there, because I don't really get to discuss these type of topics on the Sith Show. I mean, we discuss a lot of things, we discuss a lot of topics, but we don't really discuss topics that mean something directly in proportionate to me. We discuss things that affect the world and affect me and Cecily, or me, Cecily, and Eve, or things of that nature, but not necessarily things that affect me. If anybody knows me personally in my life, I am half black and I am half white. I'm half Greek and I'm half black. So, mind you, I'm sitting here drinking at the same time I'm talking to you guys. Couldn't get away with that one with Cecily next to me either. So, what I want to talk about is the same thing I was talking about on my YouTube commentary. It was gameplay with commentary, of course. Got to put my games in there somehow, some way. And I was talking about how being a half black male in this country, and political beliefs aside, I don't care if you're pro-Trump, you're anti-Trump. I don't care if you're Republican, you're a Democrat. I don't care what you are. But in this time of turmoil, we have to acknowledge that there is a racial problem in this country, and it's only getting worse. All right, more people are finding it okay. And you want to know what? If you're a racist, fine, you're a racist. That's who you are. You can't help it. My mother, I ask her all the time. She's Greek, and I ask her all the time, how the hell can you be a fucking racist when you have black children? I'm the youngest of three full-blooded siblings, and I have a half-brother from my father's side. And she tells me all the time, she goes, well, I didn't become a racist until after your father, which to me is fucking ironic. But even on my YouTube page this week, I saw a comment that said, you're nothing but a thug. Now this goes back to a video that I made about why I quit the NYPD I was 2008. I was a cop, so this goes back close to 9 years now, and I'm still getting hate comments on that video. And somebody basically was calling me out for being a fucking thug 8 years ago, and that's basically when I was like 21, 22. I I'm fucking 30 now, guys. Come on, like let's get this shit straight. Let's set the record straight. And it's because people feel more emboldened now because of Donald Trump's presidency, just to come out and be a racist. I mean, and the reason why I'm bringing up this topic is because of Conor McGregor. If you don't know about Conor McGregor, UFC fighter, Irish, everything, he's going to be fighting Floyd Mayweather, and people are up in arms now talking about his whole dance for me boy comment, and they said, oh, they call you a racist, and he acknowledged the fact on stage saying, yeah, I'm a racist from the belly button down. You know, he goes, I love black women. You know, I am black myself. I'm half black. My belly button down. You know, all black women will love it. Blah, blah. All this crazy shit he's talking out of his mouth. I mean, what do I personally think if I have to weigh in on this topic? I personally think that, yeah, Conor McGregor is kind of a racist. But we're talking about Ireland and comedian Trevor Noah. All right, Trevor Noah made a big point. If you haven't watched any of his stand-ups, even if you don't like The Daily Show, I suggest you go watch his stand-up comedy on Netflix. I believe he has 4 of them. One is a documentary, the other 3 is stand-ups, and they're very well done, very well produced. And he said, there's no such thing as racism in Scotland, because there are no black people in Scotland. There is nobody in Scotland but Scottish people, you know. And it's just I'm guessing it's the same thing with Ireland. Like the concept of racism might, obviously, I'm not saying he's a fucking idiot, you know. This guy is a multi-millionaire UFC fighter, so obviously the concept of racism is in his face, but it might not be as prevalent, you know, or as strong as it is, you know, in his mind as it would be from somebody who was born and raised in America, you know, from somebody who was, you know, here from day one and feel the effects of racism on both sides, whether you're white or you're black or you're Hispanic or you're Caucasian or whatever the case is. Racism in this country, you could talk about from Mexicans, from Native Americans, from African Americans, from Asian Americans, Latin Americans, Mexican Americans. I mean, there is every type of American there is except for fucking American. And when I say American, you cannot even call Caucasian people in America Americans. You can't, because they did not originate from this fucking land. They came from Britain. It was the British. Did we all forget the Civil War? Did we all forget the Boston Tea Party? Did we all forget all this shit? They're not. They're not Americans. The only ones that we could possibly say would be Americans is Native Americans. You know, that people now are saying Indians, you know, but it's Native Americans. You know, but even then, there's evidence that say that there was African Americans here before the Native Americans. So we really don't know who owns this fucking country. So at the end of the day, we're all fucking American. Doesn't matter what race, nation, creed we are. It doesn't matter. But yet I feel the effects of this. I do every fucking day. I go outside, I get profiled. I'm on a bus, I get looked at. You know, I mentioned on my YouTube commentary, my YouTube show, that you know, there's stripper ads and prostitute ads and all this stuff when you look for your friends and bachelor parties and bachelorette parties, where it'll say no AA. And AA, I've learned, come to stand for African American. No black people. And it could be a black stripper or a black prostitute or a black masseuse, whatever. And it would be no AA. So like you're racist against your own people. And I really, really wanted to get one of them onto the show just to find out what goes on in their mind to make them put that there. You know, is it the thug culture? You know, so maybe it shouldn't be no African Americans, but maybe it should be no uneducated thugonomic males. You know what I mean? Or something of that nature. You know, I don't think it's a racial issue. I think it's a culture issue. I think it's the culture of young adult Americans. I don't think it's the race of young adult Americans. And that's where I have the problem. And that's where I think the problem lies. So when it comes down to it, okay, it drives me insane that I can get profiled walking. And this happened to me the other day. I was in Flushing, Queens, Main Street, And for all the people, listening that's not from New York City, Flushing, Queens, that's Main Street, Queens. All right, and I'm walking around the store, and I'm being followed by this Asian lady. And mind you, when I walk around, I never carry cash. I, as an ex-cop, am completely against cash. We was taught not to carry cash because if you get your wallet stolen, you get held up at gunpoint, you'll never get your cash back. But if you get your card stolen, you can get your card, and the money reimbursed with your card if you go there with the form saying, yes, you did get robbed. So I learned never to carry cash. I only carry cash in terms of when I know I'm going to immediately need it. As if I'm going to get into a cab and I'm calling a cab, I'll make a quick trip to ATM or whatever, and boom, I got money for a cab, and I'll get into the cab. Unless I could pay by a card over the phone, then I'll fucking do that shit. So I'm in the store, and she's following me around the store like if I have no money. And I'm there to pick up Cecily, who is working right now. Yay. Alright, we go give a fucking round of applause for that shit. Got Cecily back working again. But now Cecily is a nursing assistant, so props out to Cecily. Shouts out to her for that. But I'm there to pick up some clothes for her. What do they call? Scrubs. I'm there to pick up scrubs. So as I'm there to pick up scrubs, I'm being followed around the store by this nice little old Asian lady. And it's because I don't fit. They always say, like, what's wrong with this picture? Me. I don't fit. In her mind, I don't fit this picture in this store. This is for mailmen and doctors and, nurses. And, like, what is this guy coming in here, with a leather jacket on, a fitted cap backwards. Well, not a fitted cap, it's actually snapback now. A snapback cap backwards. And jeans and Timberland boots doing in my store. Like, he's not a doctor. He can't be a doctor, right? Like, that's impossible. So when it comes down to it, I pick out like 3 pairs of pants and 3 shirts for her and a pair of sneakers, and I go over there and I looked at her and I said, well, you didn't have to follow me around the store. She goes, oh no, I just thought you needed help. I was like, no, you didn't think I needed help, because not once did you come over and ask me did I need help. Not once did you ask me did I need help. You followed me around the store, and I'm not the type of person to bitch or comment or whatever, so I let my actions do the speaking. I'm a firm believer actions speak louder than words. So the only thing I did, I dropped my card on there and I said, charge that shit up. Came up to like close to $200, paid it all. And it wasn't a credit card, I don't use credit. Paid it all, straight off my debit card, boom. Why? Because I got that $200 in the fucking bank. Why? Because I got that money in the bank. And if you think I don't need credit, because I'm not a credit whore like that. I don't pay people back like that. My money is in my bank. I work hard for what I earn. She felt stupid after that. After that, she's like, oh, you could come and return this at any given point in time. Yeah, any given point in time. No 7-day policy, no 30-day policy. Why? Because you feel guilty? And people talk about privilege and white privilege and white guilt and American guilt. It has nothing to do with any of that in my mind. At all, whatsoever. I don't care about the type of stuff. Does it exist? Yes, it exists completely. White privilege, white guilt. Yes, it exists. But living in this city, this melting pot, I feel you do not. You don't feel the white privilege, the white guilt until you go into the tourist traps. When I say tourist traps, I mean Penn Station. I mean Grand Central. I mean 42nd Street, 5th Avenue. When you get into the heart of Manhattan, that's when you start to feel it. Or when you go upstate or Long Island, that's when you start to feel like you don't belong. Being in Queens my whole life, practically my whole life. For those that don't know, I was born and raised Brownsville, Brooklyn, East New York, ghettoists that they could come by. I felt like I was at home. There was the Asian people that owned stores. You had bodegas, Mexicans that owned stores, and they lived in the neighborhood. Everybody knew them. There was no separation or boundaries. Everybody knew everybody. It was just the way it was. Predominantly black community. When I came out here to Queens, you felt it a little bit, because it was, the neighborhood I moved to was Polish, Irish, and the Greeks started to move out when I was moving in, and more Latinos started to come in, more Latin cultures. So, I really didn't feel it. I felt it when I went into some bars, and little old schoolers was there from when my mom was growing up, because I used to be her neighborhood before she met my dad. So I started to see it a little bit, and then boy, when I started to travel, I started to go upstate, got my license, and I started to drive, and and started to date girls from fucking Emerson, New Jersey. All right, Sandy. By the way, I don't think that shit that you pulled on Facebook was funny. I just found that out. Fucking, this is February. She did that shit in February. This shit is fucking July, and I just found that shit out. That shit was not funny, what you did to the Dark Forces Facebook. But anyway, when I started going out to mansions and seeing how rich Caucasian people live, and she was Hungarian, and fucking Turkish girls and stuff. I started dating girls from way, they're out of my league, and different nationalities, and meeting their families and going to their houses for Thanksgiving dinners and Christmas dinners, and seeing the way it is. And when they tell you they have an acre of land or 2 acres of land, and there's a fucking bear in the backyard, and you ain't gotta worry about the bear. They're like, oh, that's just a local bear. He always comes around here. We give him some meat, and he goes back into the fucking forest. Like, that shit is common. There's no fucking bears in Queens. Like, and there's deer across the street, and you go for a walk in the fucking forest, and as a little brunette Caucasian girl is running towards me. She sees me by myself. She doesn't see my ex behind me. She sees me, and she darts into the woods. I'm like, she'd rather risk her life through the woods than stay on this path because she sees a black male walking through here. So my ex saw that. She started laughing. It wasn't funny to me, but again, that's what they see. They see a predator. They don't see an equal. And again, I just think even the colleges out there was way different. But it was a culture, because that college had black males around there, and they had Latino males around there, but it was way different. Meeting one black male, that was in line. I was talking to him, he was talking to me, and when they say real respect is real, using the term loosely, a real nigga sees a real nigga. You know what I mean? Like, he's talking to him, you can tell he was not from where I was from. Like, he was not from any hood whatsoever, but yet that was a community college. You go to any community college out here in the city, things become very apparent where you're from very quickly. And it was the same type of way with him, but you could tell everybody in that school was from the rich neighborhoods, that they're doctors, mom, dads are doctors, lawyers, all this stuff, and they're the offspring of that type of thing. So I don't really think that the problem with this country is race at all. I think the problem with this country is the culture boundaries, and I think the culture boundaries are so tied up in race that's where we automatically defer to our basic instincts when we see people, because we don't see them as, oh, that's lower income, male that's gonna rob me or rape me or whatever. No, you see a black male and you automatically associate him with low income, poverty, and violence. And I think that's where the problem comes into play, and I think that's what needs to be changed. I think that we need to start looking at things and see things for what they are. This country is very racist. We live in a very racist country, across all platforms. And I'm talking about from my personal experience. Remember, this is Nick's Tower of Truth, people. This is my time, my one-on-one time with you guys, where I can just say how I feel about things. And so yes, I know Latinos go through their own struggles, Asians go through their own struggles, and you got those stereotypes about Asians. They're good at math, and they're smart, and they're intelligent, and they're good with computers, and blah 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 blah. Yeah, I get that completely. I know everybody goes through their own struggles, but for me, as a half black male, this is the struggle that I deal with. I get profiled by the cops. A cop did a 360 in the street the other day. Like, not even a 180. Didn't do a U-turn and then stop and talk to me. He did a 360. He turned the car and then passed me just to see if I was like what I was holding. I was holding a bag under my coat because it was raining. He thought I had a gun or a knife or some shit, and then did another turn to go back on his original destination. And I found that shit funny because I'm just sitting there like, this is ridiculous. But this is my reality that I live with on a day-to-day basis. This is what I deal with every single day I wake up. You know, so it's sad and it's depressing, but it's the reality that I have to live with. And should I have to, though? That's just the main question. Should I have to? No. So when I look at these things that Conor McGregor is doing, that Floyd Mayweather is doing, and everything like that, like, no, it's not cool to sit down there and take, you know, dollar bills that you could rebuild your community with and throw it on Conor McGregor and say, you're my bitch and my hoes get paid. Like, are you serious? Are you serious? Like, but you're in the Barclays Center. You're in a, for all intents and purposes, the Barclays Center just got built, but where it got built, it was a slum. It was a ghetto before that. That money could have went to fucking rebuilding a store. You just threw $50,000 at them in singles to prove a point. And this is Floyd Mayweather we're talking about. This is an African American male. And then when the crowd started booing him, the only thing he said is, "Oh, y'all gonna pay for that anyway. Thanks for putting money in my pocket." Like it's just, so yeah, Conor McGregor could be a racist, but Floyd Mayweather, you're an asshole. You're a complete asshole. Like, and nobody gets it. But then you got celebrities like 50 Cent going to Jimmy Kimmel talk about their friends. Like, then you got pictures of them using money as cell phones. I can't. Like, it stresses me out just to see the level of ignorance that they put out there. And as a smart, at least I like to think of myself as a smart, educated African American male in this country, I have to put up with the repercussions of your actions, because you don't live in the neighborhoods anymore. When celebrities get their money, they move the fuck out. 9 out of 10 of them move the fuck out, and the 1 out of 10 that stay there, they're not there all the time. Okay, they don't go back to working at McDonald's or a regular working job. No, they're in and out. Their mama might be there still, but that's it. They go there to visit. They have a temporary bed. They don't sleep there because they know damn good well somebody gonna kick in that door in the middle of the night. So let's get this straight. Like Jennifer Hudson, when her family got shot up, remember, in Jamaica, Queens, and they kidnapped what was it, the little boy or whatever, the little girl, I forgot what it was. You know, and 50 Cent grandmother's house got shot up. Again, they weren't there for any of that. They came after the fact because they don't live there no more. You know, so it's just the fact of, yeah, you are out of touch with your audience. You're out of touch. You don't go back and build that community that you said you was gonna build. You buy goddamn spinning rims, multi-million-dollar houses, and all that shit. Listen, if I became a millionaire, building OHSITH, it was not something that took a day in the making to build it. It wasn't just slap a name, slap a logo, get a business license, and that was it for me. No. It started with the Dark Enforcers, our gaming community, you know, and it took trademarks, and it took, you know, copyrights, and it took merchandising, and you know, all of this stuff, and it's still not done. OHSITH is, as I say to everybody, it's a constantly evolving beast. It's something that is just not one thing. It's a cultivation of my life's work. I like to write. I like to play games. I like to talk to you guys. I like to just look at the world from a different viewpoint. You know, so to me, OHSITH is not even successful the way I want it to be. You know, because we don't have an office. You know, we're still making ends meet. We're still paying, you know, our employees using money that I make from a regular job. You know, so it's just, it's not. But then you got these guys that make one song, you know, Find Me in the Club, whatever, and they make $1 million off that song, and then they go there and they treat people like shit, and they move the fuck out, and then they represent me. But I'm the one that gets followed around. I'm the one that gets judged. How's that fair on our community? The worst part you can do is when a stripper tells you no African American males, or when a prostitute in New York City tells you that they don't take African American males, or when a masseuse, you walk in to get a massage, and I'm talking about a medical massage, and she looks at you and she fucking puts like the most sanitizer in the fucking world on her hands because she thinks your body is that damn dirty because of what she's seen or perceives. You know, I see, because of my pelvic floor dysfunction, my medical condition, I see a lot of nurses and doctors, and I go to a lot of hospitals, and their assumption of me is I'm dirty completely. That I'm dirty, I'm filthy. Like that's their assumption of me when they look at me because of the way I dress. And it's not because of the way I talk, because I'm very articulate. You guys might not find that to be, because I don't entertain you as an articulate person, but I can if I really wanted to. The same way I'm trying to have a conversation with you guys right now. But when I walk into, a medical massage or a rehabilitation center, for my pelvic floor, or I walk into NYU Langone, which I do go to, shouts to them, they tried. I go to a different physical therapy now, better, thank you. Shout out to Brooke, she's helping me a lot. But when I walk into, a place and they put a shitload of hand sanitizer on, or they spend an hour washing their hands, and I know damn good well that there's no reason for that because you was just behind a computer or something. I don't assume, okay? And I don't want people to be like, oh, you're just assuming that. No, I don't assume. I know why you're doing it. You're doing it because you see me, and you automatically think that because of the way I dress, or the way I'm talking to you, that I'm dirty, I'm from the streets, I'm ghetto. That's what you assume. And you want to know what? If you want to assume that, that's your right to assume that. But nobody will ever take that away from you. Just like nobody could take away the way I feel right now. But that's not the truth. But that's what half of my people, or the representatives of my people out there, go out there and show. We don't show anything different. This is the summertime. I bet you if I went to Harlem right now, I would see block parties, barbecues, unsanctioned, no permits. Look at Juve. I think they canceled that in New York, right? They canceled Juve because there was rapes and robberies and all this crazy shit that was going on. Like that can't be representative of us. So when people look at me and they go, "Oh, you're half white," they automatically assume that that's where all my intelligence and my knowledge and my mannerisms and stuff come from. No, it's not. It comes from my father, my mother. It comes from me being an analytical and observational person. It comes from me wanting to be better and wanting to do better for myself. It doesn't come from maybe how dark I am or how light I am. It comes from who I am. And I think that's the whole point of this conversation, is that we need to stop looking about how we look and worry more about who we are, because we all suffer for it. It's not just the people in the forefront, it's everybody. We all suffer for it. And that's the sad part. The sad part is we all suffer. So, as Conor McGregor talks about how half black he is from the belly button down, and how Floyd Mayweather wants to throw fucking somebody's annual salary, on the floor of the Barclays Center, and then tell them to pick those singles up. I want them to think about this. And I want everybody that can change, can change, okay? No matter what profession that you're in. No, if you're a doctor listening to this, if you're a comic book enthusiast listening to this, or if you're that little old Chinese lady following me around inside of a medical supply center listening to this. If you could do anything today or anything tomorrow, when you can change, basically, when you could change something about that day, let my voice ring in your head. Don't judge that person that's walking in the door for how they look or what you think they are because of how they dress or how their mannerisms are. Judge that person as if you never even knew things like that existed. And I bet you anything, as much money in the world as you want to bet, that person will surprise you. That person walking in that door is going to surprise you. Not everybody's the same. Not everybody carries the baggage of an entire culture on them. Not everybody does. My actions speak for me. The color of my skin doesn't speak for me. My clothing doesn't speak for me. I speak for me. So you guys can keep writing those negative YouTube comments all you want. You guys can keep sending those negative emails all you want. And for my friend who I was trying to get a bachelor party for, hey man, I'm sorry. You know, I'm really sorry. I don't know what to tell you. But when they say no African American men, what I'm supposed to do? Deceive somebody? But it's sad. So they can keep writing that. But you'd be surprised. The dude is a doctor. Surprised you there, right? So it's very, very sad. And it's a burden that I'm going to have to live with until this country changes. Don't go blaming Donald Trump. Don't go blaming all this shit now because, listen, he's a catalyst. I won't even say he's a catalyst. No, I take that back. He just gives us an excuse to be who we really wanted to be at the basis of our service. This was here. He's the one that just opened the fucking door and made everybody think it's okay to be that way. So this was my first Tower of Truth. Hopefully it's not my last, where I can be free to be me and me and you guys can have a one-on-one discussion. Discussions they're not always gonna be pretty. They're not always gonna be the most funny or the most entertaining. You know, I try to I try to loosen up. I try not to be so uptight when I talk to you guys. You know, but yeah, we had a great show planned for you guys last weekend, but I had really bad chicken, and it's seriously, Eve, apparently you needed to put eggs in the shit, and Eve didn't, and messed my stomach up last night before that. I missed 2 of my rehab sessions, and it was last weekend was really bad. But big shout outs for, if she's listening to this, our new personal assistant, Alexis. Big shout outs to her. Hopefully we can get her on the podcast and she can talk to you guys a little bit. But if you see anything come from Alexis, that's basically our personal assistant. She's the voice of the team. So yes, she has all of our blessings and authority to do what she needs to do. But we're only getting bigger. We're just getting started, as I always say. And hopefully things is going to go in a more positive direction. And maybe, you never know, maybe I might be the one of the catalysts to make a change. So until next time, I would like to say, game over, bitches.
This has been the OHSITH Podcast Show. Not enough for you? Make sure to subscribe. Let us know your questions and comments. New episodes every weekend with bonus episodes throughout the week.